Ladies and gentlemen, it's another Drago Dog Walk Talk. He doesn't want to stick around on the camera review today. Go. Come on. Давай, пошли. He wants treats. Fine, I'll give you one treat and then we'll go. The mosquitoes are really freaking bad. So I can't stand in one place for too long. They swarm. It's been a very wet summer and we've got some swamplands around here. Seasonal swamp, but this time it hasn't dried up. It's just stayed swamp. Oh, such is life. So, yes, I'm going to talk about what everybody else was talking about. I took a Sunday off. I had a show. I was on a Beirut television channel at like 12 at night, and there was a guy from the RNC who he called himself a politician. He was on the he was on some RNC committee, so it's not exactly high politics. But yeah, the funny part is, when I would come out with the Arabs on the Beirut television show, they never tell the other side that, you know, I'm a former U.S. Army officer, or just say, you know, Russian military political expert from Moscow. And it ends on that. So these guys, they start in their bullshit, and they get really odd looks on their faces when I start correcting them. Yeah, so that it doesn't quite work out. Drago, stój. Блин. Пошли. So I got home about 2 in the morning of that. I was back on my feet at about 6 in the morning. Had about three and a half hours of sleep, and off to RT. And you know, I was talking to some of the management at RT. It's like, you know, I need to set up alternate Telegram channels. I need to set up something like right here, free Europe, RT Europe, or RT Africa, because Telegram is gone on a campaign to block RT all over the world. I thought it was just in Europe and in the US or North America. But no, they're actually blocking RT English in Africa. Yeah, so Durov with his, oh, I believe in free speech, I am a libertarian, folded like a cheap suit. The moment Gay Macron there put a little pressure on him. Absolutely folded like a cheap suit, even though he still claims he went to Dubai, back to Dubai, and he's like, oh, I'm back to being the premier champion of free speech, as long as it's the approved free speech, approved by his owners in the West. So, yeah, like a lot of these so-called libertarians, the libertarian billionaires, well, they're far away from anybody, but the moment they get any kind of pressure from the powers that be in the West, you know, this is the guy that, oh, I won't be in Russia because Russia pressures on me. And Russia, the only pressure Russia was putting on him was when they subpoenaed several channels that were being used by Islamic extremists. And he refused to hand over the encryptions to those channels. Yeah, and now we see how far his actual free speech and all that goes, because, yep, these aren't Islamic extremist channels. These are just information, truthful information, as opposed to the Western crap. And as soon as the West put a little pressure on him, he folded. So yeah, there's that. Think about that one. So anyways, and it used to be that you could download the unencrypted version of Telegram off of the main website instead of the ones off of the app stores, and you get unencrypted channels. But apparently that doesn't work anymore either, because they've just, it's not even, I don't think it's even going from the governments anymore. It's Telegram itself is just taking the initiative of just blocking whatever they think that their owners, their real owners, the ones that have Durov by his balls, will want. So there's that. And all things come to a head sooner or later. And you know, he's being a tool. He's showing everybody what he really stands for, and sooner or later it's going to cost him. That's just how life is. But hey, so much for being standing on principles, like he lectured everybody until he folded last year. But so anyways, off my high horse on that issue, I watched Trump and Putin meet, and I've been told by people who've been witnesses to their previous meetings back in Trump's first presidency that they have a chemistry, not like two world leaders meeting, definitely not master and vassal in either direction, not like two world leaders meeting, not even like two buddies meeting, but like two first cousins meeting. They're like family. And the people that were telling me this are like, we don't understand this. We really, really don't understand how this works or why it's like that, but it is. So nobody can figure that one out. But it is what it is. So anyways, I can't stand in one place very long. The mosquitoes just swarm and swarm. Normally by this time of year, there isn't that many mosquitoes. But this year, no. This year the bloodsuckers will drain you dry. You start feeling your head spinning after about an hour outside. Anyways, and my short hair, they attack my scalp too. So yeah, so my head starts itching from the bites. But probably more information you want to know. So, when they met, as I said, they should have hugged, and you could hear the heads popping. If they had hugged on that red carpet, if they had hugged, you could probably hear the heads popping of the Europeans all the way in Moscow. And when they sat down 3-on-3 and did that little thing with all the journalists squawk like a bunch of hens, and that one psycho hoe that was screaming out non-stop from the moment they were outside. I don't know what, she was an American. I don't know what station she was with, but she was just, it was like a hackler. One of those people that you just need to give a swift kick in the arse and let her fly out that room head first. Oh, and by the when they said 3-on-3, I said, they should have brought out a table with like shots of vodka and some zakuska, some pickles or something else. If they had done that, I think there'd be mass suicide amongst the elites in the European theater, definitely in Ukraine. That would have been just classic. Sekundu, drago, da, sekundu, na. So, but, so what's changed? Really nothing's changed. Well, Trump, for the moment anyways, has backed off the silly demand for a ceasefire and gone to, let's negotiate a peace deal. And that'll do, the ceasefire, when there's a peace deal in effect. Zelensky has said no. And the Euro drug bunch, the Soy Boy Brigade, has also said no. Which is great. Honestly, this is great. And I'll explain why. You may call me bloodthirsty, but okay, so I do come at this more of a military view and a historical view. If the Ukrainian army is fully crushed, and it's pretty close getting to that. If the Ukrainian army is fully crushed, driven from those territories, leaving behind thousands of corpses of their brothers and sisters these days and whomever else, there will never be a question of, oh, we could have held out. They would have known they got their teeth kicked in, their ass kicked, and the Russian boot on their head. And that will actually keep the peace. That will keep the peace. Plus a few thousand, or maybe a few tens of thousands, maybe 100,000, 200,000 more that would have wanted to fight will be dead. And they won't be fighting anymore. They won't be doing any guerrilla or anything else. And there will be no question. You see, World War I, the Western Allies never set foot on German soil. So Hitler and his bunch used the theory of we were betrayed, and we would have won that war if we just held out. But they wouldn't have. It would have just cost a hell of a lot more Germans and other people's lives. But they would have gotten their teeth kicked in. They basically already had, and the army was mutinying at that point. But the myth held because they hadn't been fully crushed. In 1945, with Berlin being stormed and the last German army of any size burning to death in the woods south of Berlin, where they got bottled in, and the Red Air Force just dropped incendiaries on them and created a firestorm and wiped out tens of thousands of what was left of the Wehrmacht down there. That was Hitler's last hope for deblockading Berlin. The Germans knew, and so did the Hungarians, and so did everybody else who was on Hitler's side, that they had gotten their butts handed to them in a major way. So the werewolves tried a few terror attacks against Red Army and against U.S. forces. That got responded with overwhelming force, including a couple of villages destroyed, razed, and that was it. Nobody wanted to fight. The Germans knew they were dead, done, cooked, and anything else would just be the extermination of the German race. So they calmed down real quick. And that's how you calm them down. The smarter ones that survive, they're going to go, yeah, we don't want to do this anymore. And the dumb ones are usually dead. They don't surrender. They get wiped out. But Ukraine, we haven't reached that point yet. We're getting there. We're getting there very quickly, but we haven't reached that point yet. And if we have some kind of compromise that falls short of that point, then we're going to have problems down the road. So, as I said, the best thing is Zelensky and the Euros say no. And you know what's going to happen next? You know, once this is over, and over in a very stój, сейчас, сядь, na. And once this is over, and over in a very bloody manner, the mosquitoes, and over in a very bloody manner, those that survive, especially the psycho-Nazi ultranationalists, they're gonna know who set them up, and they're very well armed. There's a lot of their people already all over the EU, and guess what the EU is gonna have for the next 20-30 years? It's gonna have payback. These guys are gonna be running the mob, and they're gonna be much more vicious than anybody else down there after their experiences, and they're gonna be seeking revenge, payback, to the Europeans in general and to the European elites in particular. So all you Euros who are listening to me, just think about that. It's going to be 1 million of them all spread out throughout your countries, and they're going to be paying you back. And they're going to be paying you back because you didn't do anything to stop this. Your leaders did whatever the hell they felt like. Drago. And they're going to remember that. They are going to remember that. As in fact, there's been a lot of reports lately that not only are Russian guerrillas operating, partisans operating in Ukraine, but Western ultranationalist guerrillas are operating in Ukraine, and they're working together with the Russian guerrillas, passing information back and forth, and the information then goes to Russian aviation and other sources to bring attacks on the SBU and the VSU. So you got the ultranationalists are now forming guerrilla units to fight the government of the ultranationalists, because they figured out Zelensky's going to exterminate all of them, and that's part of his job. He's going to fight to the last Ukrainian period, and that means them and their kids. And it finally dawned on these genetic defects that they are going to be exterminated by their own leadership. So they're starting to work against that leadership. It only took 2.5-3 years before they started realizing that. But, you know, better late than never. Better late than never. So, in the end, right now, nothing has changed. Drago. Куда ты? На. Пошли. Yeah, he's hungry. But overall, nothing's changed. You know, Trump has proven that he cannot bring the soy boy brigade and Maloney, the narco voice girl for them. I mean, look at them; they're all on coke. I mean, you realize that all these idiots are coked up narcos that are running the West. Yeah, you know, but he's shown that Trump cannot bring the soy boy brigade under his control, no matter how much he tries. So sooner or later, the choice will still come down. Either American boots on the ground and corpses in body bags, or you guys are on your own. Fuck off. We'll sell you the weapons if you want to fight, but fuck off. And the British, the NATO, we will come into Ukraine. We will show the Russian. Yes, we will show the Russian. All 20,000 of us or so. We'll show them how fast we can get exterminated and come back in small pieces. Do be a good boy and write your mommy and your sister and whomever a goodbye letter. Because you're probably not going to get too many chances. Yeah, there was just, in fact, yesterday, there was a report of another American who got killed. A guy by the name of Ryan, I won't mention his last name. Kid was 21, so served out 3 years. Served out 3 years and decided to go on safari. Except they forgot to tell him that on this safari, the lions shoot back, the lions have air dominance, artillery dominance, and they will fuck your world. Apparently he didn't realize that. For some reason, the US media and the Western media doesn't really like to talk about that. So yeah, instead of fixing his own country, and America is so screwed up right now, it needs people with energy and will, he went to go die for Zelensky, the narco baron, and whatever stupid story she's being told. And there's thousands of them like that, littering the battlefield up and down. The Colombians want out because they're not getting paid and they're getting abused, because the Ukrainian Nazis look at the Colombians as subhuman meat and treat them that way. And the Colombians are just now figuring out, yeah, things can get much worse. When the people that are on your side think of you as meat, and the other guys really want to turn you into meat on the battlefield. So, and there's thousands upon thousands of dead Colombians up and down. I mean, talk about thinning the gene pool in Colombia. Then again, the Houthis were thinning the gene pool in Colombia back 10 years ago, when the Colombians were running in to fight for the Saudis as mercs. Yeah, so, you know, they seem to be hell-bent on making sure there's a lot fewer Colombian men left alive. Because I can't think that they're getting paid that much to get massacred in those kinds of volumes. I mean, just in Kursk, identified were over 1,500 Colombians. Out of 70,000 dead, and 2,000 Poles, and quite a few, and about 200 Americans, almost about 190 something Americans. And that's what they identified. I mean, they're still going to be finding bodies, what's left of bodies, because the pigs and the dogs and the rats are gigantic, are having a feast. So, and these guys were getting dropped dead all over the wood lines. So that's the reality of it. That's war. That's not Afghanistan. That's not Iraq. That's real war. And that's how real war gets fought. Drago. Ucamanis. My wife just drove by. They saw her. Drago. Ucamanis. So other than that, there's really not much more to tell. You know, we have to see how the Soy Boy Brigade, if they turn Trump's attention back to a ceasefire from a victory. Drago. Ucamanis. Or not. I guess we'll find that out today, tomorrow, and the day after. So I'm expecting, you know, Trump has this tendency, it seems, whoever talks in his ear last, that's the side he takes. So we'll see. He may be back to, I'm very disappointed with Vladimir Putin instead of Zelensky. Or Zelensky might just fuck things up again, which would be really interesting to watch. Anyways, God bless.